So you know that feeling, right? When you start feeling a little bit off, maybe a
Yeah.
little bit itchy.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, oh no, what is this? What am I coming down with?
Uh-huh.
We were looking at some stuff about chickenpox, and I know you were mentioning that you had been kind of feeling a bit under the weather.
Right, right.
So, we thought let's just do a deep dive into this and look at some common illnesses like chickenpox, how they spread,
Sure.
and what we can actually do about it.
Yeah, that sounds great. I
Yeah.
think that's a great idea because these are the things we just come across in everyday lives.
Yeah.
It's good to really get that deeper knowledge.
Absolutely. And I think what's so interesting about it is that we've been looking at this through the lens of English learning.
Yeah,
So we've got audio and we've got text. And it's amazing how much information you can really pull from that if you just dig a little deeper.
it is. It is, yeah.
So let's start with chickenpox.
Okay.
One of the things that I remember so clearly from childhood is those itchy red dots.
Oh,
Like mosquito bites all over your body. Mainly like arms and legs and face. And the thing that I always thought about chickenpox was that you only get it once.
right. That's the
With-
common thought. Yeah.
And I think the material we were looking at said, yeah, generally that's the case, but if you have a very mild case when you're younger,
Right.
you might actually get it again.
Right. Yeah. If your body doesn't have as strong of a response the first time,
Yeah.
it may not build up those antibodies, those fighters,
Yeah.
to really take care of it if it comes back.
And of course, the golden rule. Don't scratch.
Oh, absolutely not.
Because you can end up with scars. Right.
You can, and I know it's tempting, but you really, really shouldn't do it.
Well, it's funny because even in the dialogue, like one of the speakers was saying, oh, it's so itchy, it's driving me crazy.
Right. Because when you have chickenpox, your skin's inflamed, and that inflammation makes you really want to scratch.
Yeah.
But yeah, as we said, you really don't want to do that because it can make things worse.
And they even mentioned that, age-old remedy of the oatmeal bath.
Yeah.
Soaking in an oatmeal bath is supposed to kind of soothe that itch.
Well, it can help soothe your skin and, maybe reduce that inflammation.
Right.
It's not going to cure the chickenpox, though.
Of course not, no. But it's interesting, the whole chickenpox thing really takes me back. I remember when I was a kid, I got chickenpox. It was Thanksgiving.
Oh, no.
Yeah, can you imagine? Talk about bad timing. And I just remember that itch being like the most unbearable thing. And as much as I tried not to scratch, I've got a couple little scars here and there that are just like, proof.
Yeah, battle scars.
What about you, though? Did you get the chickenpox as a kid?
I think I did. To be honest, I can't really remember very clearly. I know my sibling got it really bad, but mine must have been pretty mild because I don't really remember.
See, that's so interesting, how it can be different for everybody.
Yeah.
But it really brings us to the whole idea of, being contagious. The material we were looking at defined contagious as just being able to pass an illness on from one person to another.
Yeah, I think we all kind of know what contagious means, right?
Right.
You don't want to get too close to somebody who's contagious.
And they use the flu as a good example.
Oh, yeah. The flu. It spreads like wildfire sometimes. It's a good example of why we need to understand how these illnesses move from person to person.
And it's funny because I remember that line in the dialogue, like, get away from me, you're contagious.
Right. Like it's a scary monster.
Which sounds a bit dramatic, but it really gets the point across, right? And then, in the text, it talked about all the different ways that these contagious illnesses can spread.
Oh, yeah. It's not just breathing the same air, is it?
No. It's like touching someone, or like if they cough or sneeze, those little droplets in the air.
Yeah, and then touching surfaces, and then you touch your face. It's like a chain reaction.
Exactly. And it really highlighted how, even those minor colds can spread so quickly, and how important it is to not go to work when you're sick.
Oh, yeah. Nobody wants to be that person.
Right. And it also made a point of saying, some people's immune systems are better at fighting things off than others.
Oh, definitely. That's why some people get really sick with something, and other people are just fine.
So true. And then, when it comes to preventing all of this, they talked about the usual things, washing your hands,
So important.
trying not to touch your face.
I know. It's so hard, though. It's like you don't even realize you're doing it half the time.
And even, the role of wearing masks.
Right, especially with those respiratory illnesses.
So we've talked about chickenpox and how it's contagious, but the information we were looking at went way beyond that.
Yeah, it went into a lot of detail about what it means to be ill in general.
Yeah. Like, it defined illness as simply your body not working the way it's supposed to.
Right, you don't feel that normal strength and energy that you usually do. You just, something's not quite right.
Exactly. And then it talked about the different types of illnesses. like acute illnesses.
Right. So those are the ones that are short term, like if you have a cold or the flu.
Or even just a headache or a stomach ache, right?
Yeah, those things that come on quickly and usually go away fairly quickly too.
Versus chronic illnesses.
Right. And those are the long-term ones. So things like diabetes or asthma or even, heart disease.
Right. And so with chronic illness, it's not something that just goes away.
Right. It's something that people have to manage over a longer period of time.
Exactly. And then it broke down the types of illnesses into 3 categories.
Okay.
So first, there were the infectious illnesses.
Right. The ones that you can catch from other people.
Exactly. Things like the flu, colds, chickenpox, and even COVID-19.
And those are caused by those tiny little things.
Yeah.
Bacteria, viruses, and fungi.
And it talked about, again, how they can spread through the air.
Right. Touching, coughing, sneezing, all those lovely things.
Right. And then the second category was non-infectious illnesses.
Right. And those are the ones that you can't actually catch from another person.
Right. Like heart disease or cancer.
Yeah, or diabetes. These are often things that are related to, your lifestyle or your environment or even your genes.
And then the third category that it talked about was mental illness.
Right. And those affect your mind and your emotions.
Like depression and anxiety.
Yeah. And those are really important too. I mean, your mental health is just as important as your physical health.
It really is. And then it went on to talk about the common causes of illness.
Yeah.
And it listed things like germs, which we've already talked about, bacteria, viruses, they're everywhere, right? But it also said things like poor nutrition.
Yeah. If you're not giving your body the nutrients it needs, it can't function properly, and that makes you more susceptible to illness.
Right. Not getting enough sleep.
Absolutely. Sleep is so important. It gives your body a chance to repair and recharge. And when you're sleep deprived, your immune system just doesn't work as well.
And even stress.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Stress can do a number on your body and make you more susceptible to illness.
Lack of exercise.
Right. Exercise helps boost your immune system.
And pollution.
Yeah. Over time, being exposed to pollutants can damage your body and increase your risk of getting sick.
And then it went on to talk about ways to prevent illness.
The good stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of it was common sense, but good reminders, right?
Absolutely.
So washing your hands.
Constantly wash your hands all the time, especially before you eat and after you use the restroom.
Right, or if you've been touching things that, might not be so clean.
Right, exactly.
Wow.
It's just such a simple thing, but it can make a huge difference.
Then there's healthy eating.
Uh-huh.
Eating lots of fruits and vegetables, whole grains.
Yeah, get a variety of nutrients.
Right. Getting enough sleep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sleep is so crucial. Aim for 7 to 8 hours a night.
Regular exercise.
Even if it's just a brisk walk every day.
Yeah.
Anything to get your heart rate up.
Right. And managing stress.
Yeah. Find healthy ways to cope with stress, whether that's meditation, yoga, talking to friends, whatever works for you.
Right. And then it said trying to stay away from people who are sick.
Oh, yeah. That's a tough one sometimes, especially if you're, surrounded by people.
Right. But it's worth trying, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And then they talked about the importance of vaccinations.
Yes, vaccines are so important. They help protect you from all sorts of diseases.
And the examples it gave were like the flu vaccine and the measles vaccine.
Right. And those are really important for preventing the spread of those diseases.
And then, of course, it said if you do get sick,
Right.
rest.
Uh-huh.
Drink lots of fluids.
Yeah. Stay hydrated.
Take any medicine your doctor prescribes.
Yeah. Follow your doctor's instructions.
See a doctor if you're not getting any better. And then the big one, stay home.
Yes. Stay home and don't spread it to other people.
And I love that it gave that story about Sarah.
Oh, yeah.
This little 10-year-old girl who got the flu.
Right.
And it talked about how she felt tired and weak, and she had a fever and a sore throat. And it even went into how the doctor told her to rest and drink plenty of fluids and take medicine.
Right. And she had to stay home from school, and she missed her friends, but she knew it was important to rest and get better.
Right.
And it's just, a reminder that everyone gets sick sometimes, and that's okay. Just take care of yourself.
Exactly. And since this is all from like an English language learning thing, it also pointed out some of the key words and phrases.
Oh, okay.
Like the word itchy
Yeah.
and scratch.
And lightheaded, that feeling of being kind of dizzy and weak.
Yeah.
And contagious.
Rash.
Biohazard. That one always sounds so serious.
Right. And it even explained how, bio means life and hazard means danger.
So biohazard, it's like a danger to living things.
Right. And then some of the phrases it pointed out,
Okay.
like coming down with something.
Yeah, that's when you're starting to feel sick, but you don't really know what it is yet.
Right.
It could be anything.
Right. And then in the meantime,
Yeah, it's like a filler phrase. In the meantime, I'm going to rest
exactly.
while I'm waiting to feel better.
And then my favorite one was blowing things out of proportion.
Oh, yeah.
When you think something's way worse than it actually is.
We've all been there.
Oh, absolutely. So I think we've covered a lot today.
We have. We've talked about chickenpox, how it spreads, all the different types of illnesses, what causes them, how to prevent them. It's been pretty comprehensive.
It has. And, it's all been taken from this English language learning material, which is so interesting.
It's really interesting to see how, something that's designed to teach you English can also teach you about health.
Exactly. It's like these little nuggets of information are hidden everywhere.
They are. And it's just a matter of, paying attention and digging a little deeper.
Exactly. So as we wrap up today, I just want to leave you with one final thought. We've talked a lot about how health is interconnected.
Right.
How our individual choices can affect the health of others.
Yeah.
So I just want you to think about that for a moment. How do your choices impact the health of your community? It's something to really think about.
Yeah, food for thought.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe this will spark some more curiosity about other health topics that we can delve into in the future.
Exactly. Until then, take care.
Yeah, be well.
Bye.
See you later.